The driver heard the billionaire's daughter crying every night. One night, he went to the child's room and was outraged by what her father was doing. In the luxurious Lancaster mansion, João, a humble driver, finds solace in an unexpected friendship with Helena, the kind-hearted wife of an absent businessman. But when dark secrets and family tensions surface, he is forced to protect what is most precious. Conflicts, sacrifices, and the search for a safe haven unfold. João always knew that working for the Lancaster family would be a challenge, but he could never have predicted how much he would feel like part of that family. As the driver of the impressive mansion located in a luxurious neighborhood, João was dedicated to his work. Despite living in a small annex, he felt comfortable with his position. The Lancasters treated him with respect, and João had a special fondness for Helena, the kind-hearted wife of Edward Lancaster. Helena was a woman of class, always kind and considerate. "João, have you tried the new tea I bought?" she would often ask, offering a cup and a conversation about the day. João cherished these moments of simplicity and honesty. He admired the delicacy with which Helena handled everyone, and she, in turn, valued João's integrity. This relationship of respect and friendship flourished over the years, creating an unexpected bond between them. Edward, the head of the family, was a busy man, often absent, involved in business that kept him away from home. His frequent trips left Helena and their young daughter, Mia, alone in the vast mansion. João's presence was a comfort to both. Mia, in particular, adored João, who would take her for walks in the park and read her bedtime stories. "João, tell me the story about the dragon again," Mia would ask, her eyes always gleaming with anticipation. However, not everything was perfect in the Lancaster house. Lately, João had noticed a change in Helena. Her eyes, which once sparkled with joy, were now often somber, as if carrying an invisible burden. During a quiet afternoon while having tea, Helena confided in him, "João, sometimes I feel so alone in this huge house. Edward is always away, and when he's here, it feels like we're in different worlds." João, always a good listener, offered his supportive shoulder. "Helena, you know you can count on me for anything. I'm here to help with whatever you need." The sincerity in his voice brought a brief smile to Helena's face, but the feeling of melancholy remained. One night, after a long day of work, João was in his room in the annex when he heard muffled sobs coming from the main house. Intrigued, he got up and followed the sound, which led him to Mia's room. The little girl was curled up in bed, crying softly. "Mia, what happened?" João asked, kneeling beside her. "I miss Mommy, and I don't understand why Daddy is never here," Mia said, through tears. João tried to console the girl, promising that everything would be fine. He stayed by her side until she fell asleep, which became a frequent routine in the following days. As he left the room, he found Helena in the hallway, with red eyes and a worried look. Without words, they exchanged a knowing glance, sharing a silent understanding of the burden each was carrying. From that moment on, João felt a growing responsibility toward that family. He knew something was wrong and that he needed to be prepared to face any challenge that arose. The tension in the Lancaster house was increasing, and João felt that he was about to be tested like never before. The routine in the Lancaster house began to change subtly but disturbingly. Edward, usually cold and distant, started showing signs of irritation and impatience. During one of the few family meals, he made a biting comment about the friendship between Helena and João. "It seems our driver has gotten quite close to my wife," Edward said sarcastically while cutting his meat. The comment left Helena visibly uncomfortable and silenced the table. After dinner, Helena and João met by chance in the garden. "Helena, don't let Edward's comments get to you. He was just being rude," João said, trying to comfort her. Helena sighed, looking at the horizon. "It's more than that, João. Edward has changed. He's becoming more bitter. I feel like I don't know him anymore." The concern in her voice was palpable, and João simply nodded, aware that the situation was becoming more complex. That night, João again heard Mia's sobs. But this time, the raised voices of Helena and Edward accompanied the sounds. He hurried out and, upon reaching the hallway, encountered a scene he would never forget. Edward, his face contorted with rage, was fiercely arguing with Helena. His words were harsh and accusatory, while Helena tried in vain to defend herself. "Do you think you can fool me? I know what you and that driver are doing," Edward shouted, accusing Helena unjustly. Suddenly, in a fit of fury, Edward raised his hand and slapped Helena across the face. The sound echoed through the hallway, and Helena recoiled, holding her face, her eyes wide with shock and pain. João, without thinking twice, rushed over and placed himself between the couple. "Stop this, Edward. This is unacceptable," João exclaimed, staring down Edward with a defiant expression. Edward, perhaps surprised by João's intervention, hesitated for a moment before backing off. "You're fired, João, and if I see you near my family again, you'll regret it," he snarled before storming out of the room, muttering insults. João, trying to control his anger and concern, turned to Helena, who was visibly shaken. He led her to the kitchen, where she sat down, still in shock. "Everything will be all right, Helena. I'm here," João said, holding her hand firmly. After a few minutes, Helena began to cry, silent tears streaming down her face. João stayed by her side, feeling a mix of sadness and anger for what he had just witnessed. He knew the situation was serious and that he couldn't simply ignore what had happened. "We need to find a solution to this," João said, determined. Helena nodded, still shaking her head in disbelief at what had occurred. The following days were tense. Helena was clearly devastated, while Edward continued to act as if nothing had happened. The house, once filled with laughter and joy, was now a place of oppressive silence and constant fear. João knew that the situation was becoming untenable and that a major crisis was about to happen. The day after the incident started strangely. Helena was absent, and João felt a chill of worry. He searched the house, but there was no sign of her. When he found Mia sitting on the floor of her room, staring into space, João knew something was terribly wrong. "Mia, have you seen your mother?" he asked, trying not to let the panic show in his voice. Mia, with a lost look, replied, "She left early this morning without saying where she was going." The response left João uneasy. When Edward returned from work, his indifference to Helena's disappearance only intensified João's concern. "Helena needed to leave for a while," Edward said coldly, without giving further explanations. João knew there was more behind that evasive answer. The situation worsened when Mia started crying more frequently at night. João, always alert, would find her sobbing quietly, asking why her mother wasn't there. "I just want Mommy to come back," she would say, clutching her doll tightly. João tried to console the girl, but words seemed insufficient in the face of the palpable sadness hanging over the house. Determined to take action, João began discreetly searching for clues about Helena's whereabouts. While rummaging through her room, he found a letter hidden in the drawer of her dressing table. In the letter, Helena explained, with despair, that she needed time to think and sort things out, without mentioning where she was going. The urgent tone of the letter suggested that she was fleeing from an unbearable situation. With the letter in hand, João felt a growing sense of urgency. He knew he needed to protect Mia at all costs. "I can't wait any longer. I need to do something," he thought, determined. That night, while the house slept, João entered Mia's room. "Mia, do you want to leave here for a while? Let's go to a safe place," he whispered, trying to reassure her. Mia, her eyes still swollen from crying, simply nodded. "Okay, Uncle João," she said, with a childlike trust that touched João's heart. He picked her up and quietly left the room. They crossed the dark garden and got into João's car. As he drove through the deserted streets, he felt a mixture of fear and determination. He knew he was crossing a dangerous line, but his desire to protect Mia was stronger than any fear. They stopped in a small town on the outskirts, where João found a modest inn. "A room for the night, please," he said to the receptionist, trying to stay calm. While Mia rested, João called Roberto, an old friend and retired lawyer. "Roberto, I'm in trouble. I need your help," he said, explaining the situation. Roberto, upon hearing the story, did not hesitate to advise João. "Go to the police, João. Explain everything. It's the only way to protect Mia and avoid being seen as a criminal. João knew Roberto's advice was wise, but the idea of facing the police terrified him. Still, he knew he had to do what was right. Before following Roberto's advice, João decided to talk to Mia. Mia, we need to talk to the police. I'm going to explain everything and make sure you're safe, he said, trying to be as clear as possible. Mia, though scared, trusted João. I'm with you, Uncle João. I just want Mommy to be okay, she replied, holding his hand tightly. Meanwhile, Edward noticed Mia and João's disappearance and panicked. He called the police, reporting the disappearance of both. Authorities quickly began a search, concerned about Mia's well-being. Aware of the situation, João drove to the nearest police station, knowing that this would be the toughest battle of his life. At dawn, João and Mia arrived at the police station. He felt somewhat relieved to finally be able to clarify everything. Good morning, officer. My name is João, and I brought Mia here to explain an urgent situation, he said firmly. The receptionist directed them to a room where João began to recount the entire story to the police. Edward, Mia's father, has been abusive to Helena, her mother. Helena fled home to protect herself, and I brought Mia with me because I feared for her safety, João explained. He detailed the incidents, including the slap Edward gave Helena and the letter he found. The police officers, upon hearing the account, grew serious, recognizing the gravity of the situation. Meanwhile, a social worker was called to speak with Mia. Hi, Mia. I'm Laura, and I'm here to help you and your family, she said with a gentle smile. Mia, still frightened, began to talk about what had happened. Daddy and Mommy were fighting a lot. He hurt Mommy, and I was scared. Uncle João brought me here because he wants to protect me, she said, with tears in her eyes. As they awaited the outcome, Helena arrived at the police station, accompanied by Roberto. She looked exhausted but relieved to see João and Mia. Helena, are you okay? João asked, concerned. She nodded, still catching her breath. I am now, thanks to you, João. Thank you for protecting my daughter, she said, with evident gratitude in her voice. Edward was also summoned to give a statement. Upon arrival, he tried to maintain his usual composure, but the walls were closing in on him. These accusations are absurd. João is trying to incriminate me, Edward claimed arrogantly. However, the testimonies from Helena and Mia, along with the evidence, made it clear that he was lying. Mr. Lancaster, we have enough testimonies and evidence to proceed with a formal investigation, said the lead detective. Edward, realizing he was cornered, tried to protest, but it was in vain. The truths about his abusive behavior and shady business dealings began to surface, making it evident that he was unfit to care for Mia. As the investigation continued, Helena was advised to file for sole custody of Mia. With Roberto's help, she began preparing the necessary documents. We'll make sure Edward can't hurt you or Mia anymore, Roberto assured. Helena, though exhausted, felt a new sense of hope. João, for his part, faced the consequences of his actions. The social worker, after hearing the entire story, recommended that he not be charged with kidnapping, considering his genuine intentions to protect Mia. You acted as a protector, João, and that will be taken into account, she assured. Helena made sure to publicly support João, affirming his crucial role in protecting her daughter. As the investigation progressed, Edward was stripped of all parental responsibilities. Authorities determined that he was unfit to care for Mia, and Helena was granted full custody of her daughter. With Roberto's support, Helena also ensured that João was cleared of all charges, publicly recognizing the sacrifice he made to protect Mia. João, I can never thank you enough for everything you've done for us, Helena said, holding João's hands. You are more than just a friend. You are part of our family. João, moved, replied, I will always be here for you, Helena. You are my family now. Edward, on the other hand, faced a legal and personal downfall. With the accusations of abuse and the revelation of his fraudulent business dealings, his life quickly unraveled. Without resources, after discovering that all family assets were in Helena's name, Edward was forced to face the consequences of his actions. The high society, which had always considered him a successful man, turned its back on him. Edward was convicted of his crimes and became a disgraced figure, disappearing from public life. Helena, now free from Edward's oppressive shadow, decided to start anew. She and João moved to a new home, more modest but full of love and hope. "This house may not be as big as the mansion, but it's a real home," Helena said with a sincere smile. Mia, adjusting to her new life, found in João the father figure she never had. "Uncle João, you'll always be here with us, right?" she asked, to which João responded with a smile, "Always, little one." With João's support, Helena resumed her career as a painter. "I had forgotten how much I love to paint," she said, while João watched with admiration. Her work gained recognition, and she made a name for herself in the art world, holding exhibitions and selling her works. "I'm so proud of you, Helena," João said at one of her exhibitions. "You are amazing." Helena, moved, thanked him with a loving kiss. As time passed, the new life of Helena, João, and Mia blossomed. They got married in an intimate ceremony, surrounded by friends and family who had stood by them during the difficult times. "Today, we start a new journey as a true family," João said during the ceremony. "Together, we've weathered the storms, and now we'll enjoy the sunny days." Mia, growing up in an environment full of love and support, became a confident and happy young girl. "Daddy João, can I help with the garden?" she asked one day, receiving a proud smile from João. "Of course, dear. Let's do it together." For Mia, João was more than just a stepfather. He was the father she had always wished for. Helena, now a renowned artist, continued to thrive. She became an influential figure in the art world, not only for her talent, but also for her story of overcoming and resilience. "Art is my way of expressing everything I've been through and how I've overcome it," she said in an interview. João, in turn, found satisfaction in helping manage Helena's career and taking care of the family. "Our greatest treasure is the love we share," he said, proud of the family they had built. Edward, on the other hand, was forgotten. His fall from grace was swift and silent, and he ended up serving time for his crimes. For Helena, João, and Mia, he became just a distant shadow of a past they had left behind. The simple and happy life that the new family built was marked by moments of joy and learning. They cherished the small things like a family dinner or a walk in the park. "We went through a lot, but now we are at peace," Helena reflected. "And that peace is what matters."